at 11.
A deadly shooting involving Bay Area police officers. Tonight, what police say led to the deadly confrontation between an armed man and officers. But first, a surprising confession by the couple accused of kidnapping and holding J.C. Dugard captive for nearly 18 years. Tonight, KRON 4 has the shocking details admitted by Philip and Nancy Garrido and what it means to the investigation. KRON 4's Kate Thompson has the new details in our top story at 11.
Philip and Nancy Garrido have both given full confessions to the police about the 1991 kidnapping of J.C. Dugard.
Mr. and Mrs. Garrido have given full, complete statements to the Sheriff's Department in the last month or so.
Stephen Tapson, who represents Nancy Garrido, said the couple confessed last month in hopes of getting a plea deal. The couple is accused of kidnapping Dugard off the street in South Lake Tahoe when she was 11 years old, holding her captive in a maze of sheds and tents in the backyard of their Antioch home for 18 years, where she was repeatedly raped and gave birth to 2 of Philip Garrido's children. Nancy's lawyer says that she admitted to police that she was the one who grabbed Dugard off the street when she was a child, that she delivered Dugard's 2 children, and that she knew Dugard was being raped by her husband but was not involved. Nancy's lawyer says that after the confession, prosecutors offered Nancy 241 years to life in prison and Philip more than 400 years in prison, not even coming close to the deal he was hoping for.
That she should be able to at least walk on the beach, probably with a walker at some point in time before she dies.
J.C. Dugard, now 30 years old, has not spoken publicly about her ordeal since she was freed 18 months ago. Prosecutors and Philip Garrido's lawyer would not confirm or deny the statements made by Nancy Garrido's lawyer. Kate Thompson, KRON 4 News.
KRON 4 revisited the Antioch home of Philip and Nancy Garrido today. You can see it is boarded up, fences are locked, the backyard overgrown with grass and weeds. That's where the Garridos allegedly held J.C. Dugard captive for nearly 18 years. There was no sign today of any police activity following the confession of the Garridos. This case brings up strong emotions for a lot of people, especially Mark Klass. He is an advocate for missing children whose daughter Polly was kidnapped and killed back in 1993. We spoke with him by phone earlier this evening. Here's his reaction to today's news.
Very happy that they confessed. I believe that this should be able to save J.C. and her daughters from having to testify in an open courtroom. Certainly that would be the best resolution. I mean, I would hope that the judge would have the sense to ensure that neither of these people are ever freed back into society again. The crimes that they committed against this young woman and her family are about as bad as they could possibly be. I think the only saving grace, obviously, is the fact that J.C. is alive. But certainly these people should spend the rest of their miserable lives behind bars. These people are monsters. They've committed horrendous crimes over a long period of time. They have absolutely no business ever setting foot in society again.
Our coverage of the Garridos' kidnapping confession continues online. We have posted the entire statement from Nancy Garrido's attorney. Just go to KRON4.com. New tonight at 11, a deadly accident involving a pedestrian and Caltrain tonight caused a delay for commuters. It happened about 7:30 this evening near the Palo Alto Caltrain station. The victim, a man from Sunnyvale. Authorities are currently investigating the possibility the man intentionally stepped in front of the train. The accident caused delays of 15 minutes to 1 hour. This is the 4th Caltrain fatality on that right-of-way this year. In Oakland, northbound 880 at Broadway has reopened after a big rig leaked more than 100 gallons of diesel fuel across all lanes there. The big rig crashed into a mattress, which then led to a multi-car collision. The accident happened about 6:40 this evening, causing massive traffic delays. As a precaution, officials decided to close the freeway until all the oil could be cleared off the road. Northbound traffic was diverted to Interstate 980 during the closure. The lanes were reopened just after 10 this evening. San Mateo police are investigating a deadly officer-involved shooting that happened earlier today. That shooting occurred on Oak Street and Barneson Avenue, just a few blocks from where the problems started at a nearby drugstore. KRON 4's Jonathan Bloom shows us how the incident unfolded.
Police say it started with a confrontation at this drugstore and ended in tragedy. A neighbor's cell phone video captured the sound of the officers' bullets as they shot and killed 35-year-old Robert Carone. Police say Carone left them no choice. Police showed up after a drugstore employee called 911. A man had become upset, threatened an employee with a handgun, then left on foot. Officers say that man, Robert Carone, had an extensive history with police.
It involved behavior such that there was a notice on record of a threat for officer safety with this individual.
Carone's mother told reporters her son was mentally ill and the fight was over paying for his medication.
He's schizophrenic. Okay, everybody knows. The police know. And he wants to take the medication, they have to pay. To pay what? I never pay. Okay? And he got very upset, came home, and they sent the police here and his gun.
When police tracked Carone back to his house a few blocks away, they say they brought in a hostage negotiator and tried to talk him down.
He was pointing the gun and screaming and active in an aggressive and disturbed manner. Our officers were preparing to attempt negotiations with this armed individual when he shot at the officers, precipitating our use of deadly force.
Oh. That was a gunshot, I think.
That was definitely a gunshot.
That shot from Carone's .38 caliber revolver was followed by a second. Moments later, one officer fired back.
Holy.
You can faintly hear another round from Carone's pistol, and then the fatal shot. Police say it was their only option to keep Carone from taking an innocent life. Police say because of medical privacy concerns, they can't really give us any details on the confrontation that started here at the pharmacy counter and ultimately led to the deadly shooting. So far, CVS has not returned our calls for comment. In San Mateo, Jonathan Bloom, KRON 4 News.
And we're seeing more and more in the way of cloud cover just to have a system that could bring us plenty of wet weather tomorrow. Right now, the shot of the Bay Bridge approach actually staying dry. Slight chance of maybe seeing a few pop-up showers up into the North Bay, but much of the North Bay will stay dry overnight tonight. Increasing clouds throughout the day tomorrow, and then a better chance of seeing some showers and wind kick in as we head into the evening tomorrow. Right now, all the showers staying to our north. We're staying dry right now, but look at the 7-day. Once we head into the next couple of days, it's going to be a series of wet weather lasting right through a good portion of the week. Looks like Friday will stay dry, but once again on the weekend, we're going to bring in that wet weather. Pam?
Well, you know it already. Gasoline prices are on the rise, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. Prices for just about everything you buy will soon be skyrocketing, everything from food to clothes. A look at when you'll see the higher prices and which situations around the world are driving the price hikes when KRON 4 News returns. Tonight's headlines: the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations calls Libyan leader Gaddafi delusional as he continues to slaughter his people. Today, he claimed that he is not using force against Libyans and said that they love him. The U.S. is sending aid teams to help refugees and moving some naval forces near Libya as all options are now on the table. The death toll from last week's 6.3 earthquake in Christchurch is 154 and could reach as high as 240 because a substantial number of people are still missing tonight. Rescue crews are still searching for those victims. Today, New Zealanders paused for 2 minutes of silence to mourn the dead. The White House is calling for an overhaul of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac within 2 years. The housing finance giants guarantee or own about half of all mortgages in the United States, and it nearly collapsed, or they both nearly collapsed, back in 2008. The Treasury Secretary goes before a House committee tomorrow asking Congress to approve the overhaul legislation.
Temperatures dropping off into the 30s and 40s. However, the big story is actually going to be the wet weather expected to set in tomorrow. I have all the details on the timing of the next winter storm coming up.
I'm going to start riding my bike.
Raising the gas prices is not going to solve our economic problems at all.
Reaction to the latest hikes at the pump, edging up over $4 a gallon. Gasoline is now at least 23% more expensive than just a year ago, but it is not the only thing that is going up in cost. Food is also getting more expensive. We are paying 27% more for butter and 16% more for coffee. Even the price of certain brands of underwear has jumped 30%. And KRON 4's Catherine Heenan reports now the government is warning warning of even more price increases in the next 12 months.
The Agriculture Department has doubled its estimate on the rise in food prices, now predicting a 4% average hike in the next year. Fact is, wholesale prices have been rising, in some cases soaring for months. Meat, grains, dairy products, and especially sugar have all gone up. Retailers have been reluctant to raise prices in a down economy. That's beginning to change. Starbucks is selectively increasing the cost of some products. McDonald's says it might have to raise prices. What's behind all this? American farmers aren't just feeding Americans. They're feeding the world. And the world is getting hungrier. China is now the biggest customer for U.S. food exports. Its expanding economy has increased demand for more expensive products. China is also one reason clothing is getting more expensive. A severe drought hurt the cotton crop. Last year's severe flooding did the same thing in Pakistan. One thing has dropped in price. Marijuana is the top cash crop in California and nearly a dozen other states. According to High Times magazine, it's selling for a little less than 1 year ago. Catherine Heenan, KRON 4 News.
And now a look at other top stories covered by our KRON 4 News crews around the Bay Area.
Here in San Francisco and across the state, school districts are getting ready to send out layoff notices. It has to be done by March 15th. In San Francisco, we're looking at the possibility of 400 teachers, teachers' aides, and counselors to be laid off. But district officials say if the governor's tax extensions pass and the district gets some rainy day money from the city, the layoffs may not have to happen. In San Francisco, Dan Kerman, KRON 4 News.
Here in San Jose, Eastside Union High School District is getting ready to send out preliminary layoff notices to as many as 110 teachers, or roughly 5% of the staff. By the middle of the month, those pink slips could go out to between 15 and 20 certified teachers, between 25 and 30 classified teachers, and as many as 60 temporary teachers. Eastside Union is facing a $13 million budget deficit. In San Jose, Rob Flattabo, KRON 4 News.
Here in Oakland, the Metropolitan Transportation Commission announced a change coming to the Clipper card. Starting on Tuesday, commuters will have to load a minimum of $5 to get a new card. The change is in response to a story that KRON 4 brought to you last fall. People were getting cards loaded with the $2 minimum. They were taking trips that cost more than that and throwing the card away when they were done. The idea of the new $5 minimum is that amount would likely get someone where they are going without having a negative balance. In Oakland, Jeff Bush, KRON 4 News.
Mostly cloudy conditions for this evening, and the wet weather sets in tomorrow. Looks like for the most part, though, most of the day we'll just see increasing clouds. And then it looks like widespread rain expected into the evening. Also really strong winds with this storm as well. We'll start you off right now with your temperatures. Let's go ahead and take a look at your map and kind of give you an idea of what the temperatures are at this current hour. It looks like we're actually seeing those temperatures dip down into the 40s, even seeing some 30-degree readings as well. Looks like they're actually down to about 39 degrees for Napa, 41 up into Santa Rosa and into San Rafael. And it looks like on our satellite and radar, much of the wet weather still continuing to stay to the north of us. So we'll stay dry, but it looks like as we head towards about the 8 o'clock hour, notice those showers setting in, really setting in from the north and then spreading southward throughout the evening hours. So by midnight, that's when we could see some moderate to pretty heavy downpours, not just in the North Bay, but along the peninsula as well, and into the early morning hours on your Wednesday. Looks like Wednesday will actually be fairly wet for your morning commute. Then we'll start to taper off and dry out as we head into the evening. But overall, it looks like your temperatures are actually going to dip down into the 30s overnight. So mid-30s expected for Santa Rosa, Napa, upper 30s in through Fairfield and Antioch. And down in the South Bay, temperatures actually could drop down into the upper 30s in some of the colder locations. By the afternoon, though, it looks like our highs will actually warm into the low 60s, and that's where we'll stay throughout the work week. So this week's storm is actually much warmer than last week's. Pam?
Coming up in sports, Golden State Warriors legend Chris Mullin gets a well-deserved honor. And it was exhibition tennis of the highest order in New York City. Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi, John McEnroe, and more turn back the clock in the Big Apple. Gary has details on all the sports coming up.
Ken Volley. All right, getting everybody positive Ex-Warrior news. Former player and general manager Chris Mullin named to the College Basketball Hall of Fame. Back in the day when the Stars played all 4 years of college hoops, Chris was a star at St. John's, also won one of his 2 Olympic gold medals as a collegian in 1984. He will go into the, again, we want to underline the College Hall of Fame, the Basketball Hall of Fame. Chris is a candidate as well. He'll find out April 4th, but he goes in the College Hall of Fame with Bob Knight, Ralph Sampson, Eddie Sutton, James Worthy, and Cassie Russell. Warriors at Indianapolis tomorrow night. A little off the field news. Just do this quick because it's so annoying here. They got to give Troy Murphy, who they acquired in a trade, a couple $1 million not to suit up for him. He's now a free agent, but they wanted to wipe that contract off the books. Word is Miami. The Heat may sign him at a minimum salary. The Giants exploding in spring training. Brandon Belt, this year's big find. Ooh, come through 3 hits today, 4 RBIs as the Giants won 10-9 over Milwaukee. Barry Zito had a rough first game. Inning and 2/3, gave up 2 runs but walked 5. And then Mark DeRosa, injured most of last year. They paid him $7 million pretty much just to do interviews. Come through here again. Right now he's 6 for 8 this spring. Giants had a 6-run 7th inning to beat Milwaukee. A's and Angels. Here we go with Kevin Mello. 2-run double for the Angels. They built at one juncture an 8-2 lead. But to the A's credit, they come back. Michael Taylor, 3-run homer, put the A's up 8-5, and or excuse me, to pull the A's within 3 at 8-5, and they come up a buck short, 8-7. Hideki Matsui, he of the between 30 and 40 Japanese reporters following him at every turn, 0 for 2 with an RBI in his A's debut. Want to draw a tennis crowd with American players? You better go back a few years. Get Sampras, get Agassi, get McEnroe and Lendl. There they are, Pete Sampras and Agassi at Madison Square Garden tonight. One of those deals where somebody puts up the dough, and they drew a pretty nice house. Sampras beat Agassi 6-3 and 7-5. And then the other match was John McEnroe taking on Ivan Lendl. And I can't emphasize this enough. Look at McEnroe. Even he will admit about every 15 minutes he has to yell or the fans are disappointed. McEnroe with a nice forehand, but he would have to retire with an injured ankle. He led 6-3 at the time, so they played 1 set, and then he said that's enough. It is so funny, Pam, to get people excited about American players, you've got to go back 15 or 20 years.
Yeah, they just don't have the new talent.
At least you followed this, young lady. Why no American tennis players in the last 10 years?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Okay.
It's past my bedtime.
See, isn't that good, honestly? Because most people in news, you know, my motto is make something up and see if they'll buy it.
That is your motto.
Oh, you would. Okay, college players in shorts. I don't want to hear the sound bite, but let me just show you Cam Newton. Now, this is what they do here in Indianapolis, called the Combine. They test how quick are you running around cones. Then they test how long can you jump. There they go. And how high can you jump. And this guy, again, supposedly did not throw very accurately, but he's a Heisman Trophy winner. He's a big guy, gives pretty good interview, got a very healthy ego. So let's see what happens. But it's funny, Pam. They run the cones, they do all this stuff. Boy, he can jump, but can he pass? No, but boy, he can really touch the top of the mark. You know anything about the Combines? No, I like this young lady. She's going to be with us for a while, huh?
Yeah, just a couple more days, so yeah.